stay in the throat for a few days and then make its way down to the lungs, whatever we are allowed to go to anyways at this point. So I think that would be a good smart practice for all of us to do, doing that nasal irrigation daily, multiple times a day if we can. We don't need to wait until we start having any symptoms, the nose or the sore throat or the fevers. Then we want to wash it down, we want to flush it out. They're not welcomed. We don't want them in there. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Whole Wellness Method video. I am Lida Sportel at the upcoming lidashealing.com and founder of the Whole Wellness Method, and this is another video, part of the discussion on getting through the coronavirus crisis with you and this journey that we are going through together. In this particular video, I want to talk about another tip that could be very helpful in terms of, we talked about in the previous video about the protecting your throat discussion, keeping your throat moist, and the whole rationale behind that being that the virus has been shown to come into the throat, infect the throat, stay in the throat for a few days, and then make its way down to the lungs, which is what we don't want to have occur to us. The other way that the virus can get into the lungs is through our nose. So just like I was telling you to keep your throat moist and to sip on water and the other suggestions I gave you for like, I think I said every 15 minutes that the experts are saying to do. Similarly, this is now extending into what to do with your nose. So, and that is to irrigate your nose as often as you possibly can, and to kind of get into the habit of irrigating your nose, especially after you've been outdoors or at the grocery store or whatever we are allowed to go to anyways at this point. And that's just a good practice to really help us protect ourselves from this, because by irrigating your nose, you are in a way just again flushing out all these viral particles that could be in there and they could be taking their time to multiply, because the virus takes a few days to start multiplying, and in those days you don't have any symptoms, you feel like everything is fine, and then all of a sudden you start having these symptoms. So why wait till you have the symptoms? Why not just start, with these little tips I'm giving you even before you get any symptoms? So I think that would be a good smart practice for all of us to do. And so in terms of what I'm talking about today is irrigating your nose. And that means, there are plenty of nasal sprays out there. The ones that I recommend to my clients are the ones that have xylitol in them. And there's one called X Clear, and it has xylitol and grapefruit seed extract in it. Another nasal spray that I suggest is silver. And silver can be very, very helpful in many different ways. I talk about silver in another video in protecting your lungs in general, but I also talk about the difference between colloidal silver and the nanoparticles of silver, which are smaller particles that are a little bit safer to use long term. But at this point, I think any silver product that you can find is helpful to use as nasal irrigation. So that would be the second option, and then the third option would be a saline nasal spray or saline nasal irrigation or neti pot. Anything like that would be really helpful. And again, we want to do this, we want to get into the habit of doing that nasal irrigation daily, multiple times a day if we can. We don't need to wait until we start having any symptoms to do this, because I know for most of us during cold and flu season, we don't actually start doing these things until we start having the runny nose or the sore throat or the fevers. But right now, I think because of the severity of what's going on around us, it is smart that we start practicing these tips before we even actually need to practice them, if that makes sense. So that was the tip for today. Irrigate your nose, because again, the rationale behind that is if there is this virus replicating in your nose, just like we talked about the throat in the other video, but if it is getting in through your nose, then we want to wash it down. We want to flush it out. We want to not allow those viral particles to make their home in there and start replicating. They're not welcomed. We don't want them in there. So that's why we're using the nasal irrigation. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time for more tips, leaving you in Hall Wellness. Bye-bye.